What if the only thing standing between you and the life you've always wanted is belief? Not talent, not money, not timing, just belief. The quiet, invisible force that shapes everything you do every day without you even realizing it. Think about that for a second. Because the truth is, most people don't fail because they weren't good enough. They fail because they never gave themselves permission to believe it could work. They hesitate. They second guess. They wait for a sign, for someone to validate them, for something outside of them to prove it's possible. But by then, the moment has already passed. Here's the hard truth. Your life will always reflect the story you tell yourself about what's possible. If you wake up believing the odds are against you, if you expect things to fall apart, if you brace for failure, you will subconsciously create that exact reality. Not because you're unlucky, but because you're aligned with the wrong outcome. You've rehearsed the wrong future in your mind so many times, it became your truth. But imagine if you flipped the script. Imagine acting as if everything was always working out for you, even when it's not obvious, even when it's messy. Imagine walking into every room, every opportunity, every setback with the quiet conviction, this is all part of it. This is leading me somewhere better. That belief, that energy changes the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you solve problems. It pulls you forward, even when you're surrounded by doubt. And here's what's wild. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what you deeply believe. Neuroscience has shown over and over again that when you vividly imagine success, your brain activates the same areas as if it's actually happening. That means your mind is literally training your body to become the person you want to be before it even happens in the physical world. So when you act as if everything always works out, you're not being delusional. You're giving your nervous system a new instruction. We're safe. We're capable. We're moving forward. And when you do that consistently, the world begins to respond differently. People pick up on it. Opportunities find their way to you, not because the universe suddenly decided to favor you, but because you started showing up like someone who belongs in the room. Someone who expects to win, not in an arrogant way, but in an aligned way. A person who walks like their vision is already real. You're not faking it. You're aligning with the version of you that already exists on the other side of fear. Because belief isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing to stay committed, even when it's not. It's waking up with fire in your chest and saying, I don't know how yet, but I know it's working. That's not wishful thinking, that's power. That's leadership. That's how legacies are built. You don't need to know all the steps right now. You don't need the perfect plan. All you need is the courage to believe that your life can look different. And to start showing up like that belief is already true. Because the minute you do, something shifts. You start making decisions from your future, not your past. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop fearing failure and start trusting the process. That shift is everything. You're not stuck. You're not broken. You're just disconnected from the truth of who you are. The version of you who thrives is already inside you, waiting for permission to lead, waiting for you to stop doubting, stop hesitating, and start trusting that maybe, just maybe, it's all unfolding exactly how it should. This isn't about toxic positivity or pretending life is always easy. This is about strength, grit, vision. It's about being the kind of person who says, even if I fall, even if I struggle, even if I don't have all the answers, I still believe this is leading somewhere good. That mindset is rare. That energy is magnetic. And that's what sets people apart. So if you take nothing else from this, let it be this. Belief isn't optional. It's the foundation of everything. And when you choose to act as if everything always works out, you step into a version of yourself that's unstoppable, calm under pressure, resilient in chaos, focused no matter what's falling apart. And the reward, you start to experience life through a different lens. One where obstacles aren't dead ends, they're setups. Where detours aren't delays, they're redirections. Where even the pain has purpose. And suddenly you're not waiting for life to prove it's working. You know it's working. You feel it. You live it. And that changes everything. When you start believing that everything is working out for you, something incredible happens. You begin to see it everywhere. Your eyes open to possibility. Your mind starts filtering life differently. What used to feel like a setback now looks like preparation. What once felt like rejection now feels like redirection. And that's not just mental gymnastics, it's your brain aligning with the belief that life is happening for you, not to you. The human mind is a powerful filter. At any given moment, there are millions of bits of information around you, but your brain can only process a tiny fraction. What it chooses to notice is based on one thing what you believe is important. That's why two people can walk through the same situation and have completely different experiences. One sees opportunity. The other sees obstacles. One sees progress. The other sees problems. Same world. Different filter. This is the invisible force that shapes your reality. When you act as if everything always works out, you train your brain to search for patterns that support that belief. Suddenly, you catch insights you would have ignored before. You connect dots faster. You feel bolder, more willing to take chances. Why? Because your internal world is already convinced it's worth it. And when your internal world shifts, your external world starts to follow. It's not about living in fantasy, it's about living in focus. Focused on where you're going, not where you've been. Focused on the outcome you desire, not the fear that's trying to distract you. That's how real change begins. Not with the perfect conditions, but with the decision to believe, even when there's no proof yet. You don't need proof to believe. You need belief to create proof. That's where most people get it backwards. They wait for things to happen before they give themselves permission to feel confident. But confidence is a result of alignment. When you decide deeply and fully that you are worthy of the outcome you desire, you start behaving like someone who belongs there. And people feel that. Opportunities feel that. Your own energy begins to magnetize the things you once thought were out of reach. This is why acting as if is so powerful. It shifts the story you're telling yourself. And the story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. You are the narrator of your reality. The moment you change the script, the direction of your life begins to change too, but requires courage. It requires you to let go of the comfort that comes from playing small, because even pain can feel familiar. Even disappointment can become a pattern you cling to. But you were not born to shrink. You were not born to repeat the same cycles of self-doubt, hesitation, and fear. You were born to rise, to expand, to break through the limits you once accepted. And belief is the spark that starts it all. It doesn't take much, just a moment. One decision, one deep breath that says, I'm done waiting. I choose to trust the process. Because when you carry that belief, it changes how you respond to life. You stop panicking in the face of uncertainty. You stop needing immediate results to feel like you're on the right path. You develop a kind of calm ambition, a quiet power, the kind that can't be shaken by temporary setbacks because you know deep in your bones that this is just part of the unfolding. That the vision is bigger than the current struggle. People might not understand you. They might say you're unrealistic. Let them. Most people don't dream beyond their current circumstances. But you're not most people. You're choosing to act from your potential, not your past. That takes vision. That takes guts. That takes the kind of belief that most never dare to hold on to. And that's exactly why you'll rise while others stay stuck. This belief is not about ignoring reality. It's about reshaping it. Reality bends to those who show up with intention, with certainty, with the energy of someone who knows that no matter what, they'll find a way. It doesn't mean you won't struggle. It means you won't fold when things get hard. Because belief is not fragile, it's fuel. And with that fuel, you become unstoppable. Not because everything is easy, but because you know in your soul that every step, even the hard ones, are building something meaningful. You don't need to know how it all works out. You just need to know that it will. And that's enough to keep going. That's enough to keep showing up. That's enough to take the next step with purpose. So keep walking like it's already working. Keep deciding that every challenge has a gift inside. Keep acting like the version of you who already made it is guiding your steps. Because the truth is, that version of you is real. It exists right now. And every time you choose belief over doubt, you get one step closer to becoming it. And if you stay with that belief long enough, something remarkable happens. Life starts to rise to meet you. The doors open. The timing clicks. The people show up. And it doesn't feel like luck. It feels like alignment, like you finally matched the frequency of the future you were always meant for. The future you were meant for is not waiting somewhere far away. It's already here. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is made of one thing: your decision to become it. Not someday, not when it feels convenient, but now. That's what belief really is. Not just hope, not just faith. It's action disguised as mindset. It's the willingness to show up today as if everything is already unfolding in your favor. Because when you carry that level of certainty, your energy speaks before you do. Your presence shifts rooms. Your words carry weight. And most importantly, your actions start to align with a higher standard. You stop negotiating with your doubts. You stop making decisions from fear. You stop asking small questions like, what if I fail? And start asking powerful ones like, what if this works better than I ever imagined? That one shift alone can change the course of your life, because your questions guide your focus, and your focus drives your future. Acting as if everything always works out is not pretending it's preparing. It's putting your mind, your emotions, your behavior in harmony with the reality you want to live. It's waking up and choosing to see the opportunity in the chaos. It's showing up when it's hard, not because you're sure of the outcome, but because you've decided that backing down is no longer an option. That kind of decision rewires everything. Your habits start to shift. Your standards rise. The things you used to tolerate start to feel heavy. because they no longer match the identity you're building. You no longer settle for environments that drain you, relationships that break you, or thoughts that limit you. You outgrow them because you've grown into someone who expects more, someone who walks with vision. And vision is everything. Without it, you move in circles. You chase distractions. You mistake comfort for happiness, but with it, you move with purpose. You make decisions that match where you're going, not where you've been. You say no to the things that once trapped you because you know exactly what you're saying yes to. People will call it luck. They'll say it was timing. They'll wonder how it all came together for you. What they won't see is the internal shift that started it all. The days you chose belief when fear made more sense. The moments you stood tall in storms that could have broken you. The quiet strength of acting as if even when the evidence wasn't there yet. That's the part they don't understand. They see the result, not the resolve. They see the outcome, not the unseen battles. But that's okay. You're not doing this for recognition. You're doing it because you refuse to live a life built on hesitation. Because you're done being the version of yourself that settles, that overthinks, that waits. There's a version of you that already knows how to win. It's the part of you that doesn't flinch when plans fall apart, that doesn't break under pressure, that doesn't need everything to be perfect in order to move. It's the part that trusts the process more than the plan. That leads with faith, not fear. That version of you isn't found, it's chosen. And you choose it every time you act like things are already working in your favor. That choice becomes your anchor. When doubt creeps in, you return to it. When the noise gets loud, you stay with it. When nothing around you reflects it yet, you carry it anyway. Because that's what strength looks like. Not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to let struggle define you. This mindset doesn't just change your life. It changes your chemistry. It changes your energy. It changes the way people respond to you. When you stop needing guarantees, you start creating momentum. When you stop chasing certainty, you start walking in confidence. And confidence is louder than fear, stronger than hesitation, and more powerful than any obstacle in your way. You don't rise by accident. You rise by decision. And when that decision is fueled by unwavering belief, everything begins to shift. The right people enter. The right doors open. The right timing shows up. And even the wrong turns start to make sense. Because you're no longer at the mercy of what happens. You're the one deciding what it means. That is the real power. Not control over life, but control over your response to it. The authority to define every moment through the lens of growth, not defeat. Through the lens of progress, not pain. Through the lens of purpose, not problems. So let the world think you're crazy for believing this hard. Let them doubt. Let them question. Your job is not to convince anyone. Your job is to walk as if the outcome is already decided in your favor. Because when you move like that, when you believe like that, you give life no choice but to meet you there. Meeting you there doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means you become powerful. Not because obstacles disappear, but because you stop fearing them. You start understanding that challenges are not signs of failure, they are proof you're growing. Proof you're stepping outside the version of you that played it safe. Proof you are finally walking in alignment with a bigger, bolder version of yourself. There is a quiet revolution that happens the moment you stop waiting for certainty and start creating it. The moment you stop asking for permission and start acting like the door has already opened. That shift is internal first, always. But what begins inside eventually changes everything around you. The world reflects what you persistently project. So ask yourself, what are you projecting? Are you showing up like someone who believes they're chosen for more? Or are you shrinking to match your surroundings? Because belief is not just a mindset, it's an instruction. A signal to the world about how you expect to be treated. What you're available for, what you will and will not accept. You set the tone. You set the energy. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself when no one's watching. That's the real work. What happens in the silence? What happens in the doubt? What you whisper to yourself when the pressure's on. Because your words, your thoughts, your energy, they don't just fill space. They create space. They shape the future you're stepping into. Acting as if everything is working out doesn't mean you're delusional. It means you're disciplined. It means you're no longer bending to your emotions or external noise. It means you've chosen alignment over anxiety. Power over panic, purpose over perfection. And the more you walk in that energy, the more natural it becomes. You begin to notice something different in yourself. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop begging for signs. You move with an inner knowing that what's meant for you is already on the way and nothing can stop it unless you do, unless you quit, unless you talk yourself out of the very thing that was designed for you. The biggest danger isn't failure. It's forgetting who you are, forgetting that your thoughts hold power, forgetting that belief is not passive, it's the foundation of everything. You weren't born to live on autopilot. You weren't meant to sleepwalk through your own potential, and deep down, you know that. That's why the dream keeps showing up. That's why the fire won't go away. It's not a fantasy. It's a calling, a pull, a reminder that there's more. that you are more. But the door to that life only opens when you become bold enough to act like it's already yours, not someday now. That energy creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. That's how average becomes exceptional. Not in one giant leap, but in daily decisions fueled by quiet, relentless belief. People may not see your vision. That's okay. They weren't meant to. It wasn't given to them. It was given to you. And it's not your job to explain it. It's your job to embody it, to move like it's already real. Because when you embody the energy of success, success starts recognizing you. When you carry yourself like someone who always finds a way, life starts making a way. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand. Let the noise rise around you. Your job isn't to respond to the noise, it's to rise above it. To stay locked in. To remain unshakable, even when your environment wavers. That kind of inner power is rare. But it's what separates those who hope from those who know. You don't need 100 signs. You just need one you. Your vision, your fire, your hunger for more. That's enough. That's your proof. You're not here to prove your worth. You're here to live it. To show up like someone who already knows how the story ends and walks like they're writing the final chapter on their terms. And every time you choose that belief, you strengthen it. You reinforce the new identity. The one who doesn't flinch. The one who doesn't need everything to go perfectly to make progress. The one who keeps rising, keeps moving, keeps becoming no matter what. This is how you win. Not by waiting for circumstances to change, but by deciding that you've already changed. That your mindset has shifted. That you will no longer live a life dictated by doubt. Because doubt doesn't serve you. Fear doesn't serve you. Playing small never served you. You are here to lead. To expand. To show the world what happens when someone stops asking if it's possible and starts moving like it already is. That's how breakthroughs are born. That's how lives are transformed. That's how people like you create the impossible. By believing it was already done and walking like it every single day. You don't become unstoppable by being fearless. You become unstoppable by choosing to move with the fear. By no longer letting it dictate your pace, your potential, or your path. Because fear will always be there. It's wired into your biology. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. That your vision, your purpose, your calling is louder than your doubt. The moment you stop needing permission to act is the moment your life begins to expand.